On November 13th, 2024, I purchased a Milwaukee cordless leaf blower and 16-inch cordless chainsaw combo kit from Home Depot. I needed the leaf blower at the time I placed the order, but I didn't have plans for the cordless chainsaw until the summer of 2025, which means that I didn't try out the chainsaw until mid-July, circa 8 months later. Prior to the first use, the instructions for the chainsaw were to fill the oil tank with the appropriate chain oil, then run the saw for approximately 30 seconds to allow the pump time to pump oil to the chain bar and chain. Unfortunately, the oil never reached the chain. Instead, oil started leaking from the motor housing. Clearly, there was a loose or disconnected oil tube inside the motor housing, near or at the mechanical motor-driven oil pump. After removing the case, I was surprised to find that the tubing wasn't loose or disconnected. The oil tubing was cracked, due to prolonged exposure to dry conditions, a common cause known as dry rotted rubber. You can clearly see the extent of dry rot on both the inlet and outlet tubes. Typically, this level of dry rotting takes years to develop. Since the window of time had passed for me to return or exchange the saw, the only thing I could do was send it off for repair under the 3-year factory warranty, but that would have taken days or even weeks. I could have used it the way it was, but that meant that the chain wouldn't get any oil at all unless I added oil manually every few seconds. And using it the way it was may have caused problems with the motor, as well as being very messy. The next option was to take the saw apart to see if the repair would be something simple like a disconnected tube. After I removed the case, I discovered that the tubing was dry rotted, so I replaced it with some silicone tubing that I happened to have on hand. The tubing I used was made for 2-cycle nitromethane fuel, which is a mixture of fuel and oil. Unfortunately, the pickup inside of the oil tank was part of the tubing section, so I had no choice but to cut the tubing about an inch from the outside of the oil tank, then insert a piece of 0.125-inch ID copper tubing, so I could connect the new silicone tubing to the old black tubing, then make a bracket out of UHMW solid plastic to prevent the new splice joint from vibrating or moving. Maybe they had a shortage of new stock oil tubes, so they used some leftover old stock to prevent the production line from shutting down. Or maybe the rubber was defective from the factory. I wonder how many chainsaws went out with the obviously defective rubber tubing. This is clearly a quality control issue. I've never had an issue like this with any of my other Milwaukee tools. The quality has always been top-notch, so I figured there was no reason to test this tool before I needed it. A recent windstorm left a few large limbs in my driveway that obviously needed to be cut up and disposed of, so I thought I'd use the new Milwaukee cordless chainsaw. Personal spine issues prevent me from pulling a cord on gas-powered chainsaws. The action of pulling the cord twists my spine, so using my gas-powered chainsaw was not an option for me. I probably voided the warranty by opening the case and replacing the tubing. Hopefully the rest of the saw will last beyond the 3-year manufacturer's warranty. I hope the information was useful.